The rain that night came down like the sky was breaking open. Thick, endless sheets poured from above, drumming against Noah's tin porch roof, so hard it sounded like 1,000 fists pounding in unison. The wind screamed to the trees, carrying with a sharp, unsettling chill, almost like a warning. Noah had just tucked his 7-year-old daughter, Ellie, into bed when it happened. A knock, not a polite, neighborly tap, but a sharp, urgent pounding that cut through the roar of the storm. Pulling his faded hoodie tighter around himself, Noah opened the door and froze. 2 girls stood there, identical. Their drenched hair clung to pale faces, dresses plastered against shivering bodies. They looked about 16 or 17, arms locked around each other, as if the only warmth left in the world was between them. And their eyes carried something deeper than the cold. Fear. 2 years had passed since Noah lost his wife in a sudden car accident. Since then, life had been one long, quiet struggle. Money was tight, tighter than he ever admitted to anyone. His mechanic's wages barely covered rent and food. The roof still leaked, but fixing it had never been as urgent as paying for Ellie's asthma medication. Yet, no matter how hard life got, Noah had never stopped caring about people in need. So without hesitation, he stepped aside and welcomed the girls in. They didn't speak at first, just stood there, dripping onto the worn carpet, glancing at each other like they weren't sure if they'd made the right choice. Noah fetched towels and the warmest sweaters he could find. Ellie peeked out from her bedroom door, wide-eyed. "Who are they, Daddy?" she asked softly. Noah wished he had an answer. The twins, Anna and Grace, eventually told him their car had broken down, and they had nowhere to stay. But the way their eyes slid away from his made Noah think there was more to the story. He didn't push. That night, Ellie insisted they share her room, so no one would be cold. When Noah peeked in later, the 3 of them were curled up together under blankets like lifelong friends. By morning, the storm had passed, leaving a pale winter light in its wake. Over breakfast, just toast and eggs, Noah noticed small things. How the twins flinched at sudden noises. How they scanned the room before speaking. How their faces lit up when Ellie mentioned home, but dimmed again when she talked about her mom. They never asked for money. They never offered much about themselves either. But when Ellie spilled juice on her dress, both sisters jumped to help, fussing over her like protective big sisters. That afternoon, Noah stepped outside for some air and saw it. A black SUV idled at the corner, engine running. The tinted windows made it impossible to see inside. Something about its stillness made his gut tighten. Moments later, it drove away. When he returned inside, the twins were whispering, pale-faced. The truth came out the next morning in fragments. They weren't stranded travelers. They had run away. From a mansion, from guarded gates, distant staff, and a mother who had money but no time for her children. "She's always gone," Grace said softly. "And when she's here, it's worse." They'd left because they wanted something real, even if it meant sleeping on couches and walking through storms. Noah thought of Ellie, how she ran to him after nightmares, how she beamed when he picked her up from school. He couldn't imagine choosing business deals over moments like that. 2 days later, she arrived. The woman from the SUV. Tall, flawless, dressed like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Her eyes swept over Noah's peeling walls and worn furniture, then softened when they landed on her daughters. The conversation was quiet, tense, but something shifted by the end. Anna and Grace hugged their mother with tears in their eyes. Before leaving, the woman turned to Noah. Her thank you was sincere, not the empty kind of someone used to giving orders. A week later, Noah found an envelope in his mailbox. Inside was a letter and a check big enough to cover months of rent, fix the roof, and pay for Ellie's medication. Her note read, "Your kindness reminded me of what truly matters. I'm going to change, not just in business, but in my family. If this story touched your heart, remember this. Sometimes one act of compassion can change the course of someone's life, and yours too."